Rocket has been an interesting character, especially in balance. However, this isn't a video focusing on his absolutely absurd balancing history. This series is called Bad Fighting Combos for a reason, and today, we are going to be looking at yet another bad combo from a character, and Rocket has one specifically horrible combo that might not seem bad on the surface, but looking more into it reveals tons of flaws. Today's combo is Rocket's Q plus F. Both of these moves are great standalone for Rocket and offer much more versatility and firepower in his kit, but combined, it can prove to be a bit of an issue for Rocket, especially against players who have eyes. Yes, this will be important. Now, I will say, this move has one niche upside, and that's the fact that you could position yourself in an off angle. Again, it's very niche and requires knowledge of maps, but that's probably the best application I could think of, especially thanks to Q. This mainly applies to a map like Roblox Arcade, which has very sneaky off angles that are incredibly hard to spot rockets on, and it's fairly consistent if you get the angle correctly. Other than that, this combo has a bunch of flaws surrounding it. The biggest flaw is that this entire combo gives no real benefit to Rocket, like, at all. Any benefit Rocket could get from this can just be done better and more safely in almost every single way. One of the main downsides is how open Rocket QF makes you. Rocket pretty much Qs into the skies and rains rockets down on the enemy. It looks pretty cool, I will admit. However, its practicality is kinda non-existent. For one, Rocket is one of the more squishy characters of the cast, relying heavily on his shield for survivability, which makes him vulnerable to any types of chip damage. Being this open after a Q, especially if you missed a Q hit to begin with, makes you a sitting duck until you go through the entire ult, which makes you vulnerable to almost every single character in the game, and the ways that characters could punish Rocket for this are, well, let's just say it's not going to be fun for the Rocket. And on practically every single map, due to how Rocket Ult works, there are safer ways to use the ult without being as much of an obvious target or being flat out safe from sightlines. I can't show like every map, but every map has safe spots to ult from that are not wide open for you to be shot at. Some people might say it's an effective rollout option. Well, one, you are wasting Q just for a slightly better ult in the first place, when Q could either be used for an effective roll with M1s, or even then, you can just M1 yourself and go for an ult if you're desperately needing the height, as Q is vital for Rocket's survivability up close. This also applies to more height. An M1 does slightly less self-damage if you need the extra height for a Rocket ult without wasting such a worthwhile self-defense tool in Q. And again, you are wasting your Q. Rocket's main self-defense against close-range fighters is his Q, as hitting it does good damage and grants no self-damage onto Rocket, which is incredible to have. Removing your entire close range tool just to get a slightly better ult spot, which could be detrimental, is really bad and should be heavily advised to not do something like this. And honestly, that's about it. I got nothing else to say, so let's just cut to the chase. Overall, Rocket QF does have a niche, but it's a small niche that shouldn't be studied upon since it's a waste of time. And before this video actually ends, I do want to shout out Medley and Yapna for giving me some ideas on how to use Rocket QF and how badly some characters can punish them, as trying to explain combos or stuff for characters you don't usually play can be tricky. So I thank the both of them a lot for helping me out. Anyways, don't Rocket QF folks, and let's make sure players don't develop these types of habits.